This week's module asks the question, what are effective visual aids to speeches? Now, a visual aid is not the main focus of a speech, but it can add a bit of polish and it could add a visual element to your speech. I think most people think about PowerPoints when they think about visual aids. It's kind of become the go-to visual aid, or the slideshow that accompanies the speech. And they're fine, they're good, but there are other options as well. You'll be using PowerPoint, or you could use Prezi, or you could use Google Slides. Just whatever you do, you need to make sure that they don't overwhelm your speech. And so let's talk a little bit about a few rules when it comes to designing visual aids. First, recognize that you are the star of the show, and the visual aid is kind of like your backup dancer. They're there to make you look good. They're there to give the audience something to look at besides just you. And they're there to kind of add a whole feel to the presentation, to kind of polish it out. And so remember, your visual aid should not become the focus. And so keep it very simple. My number one rule is there are no full sentences on a slide. Don't put full sentences in front of your audience, whether it's on a handout or whether it's on a slide, because what happens is they're going to start reading and stop paying attention to you. So instead, if you include text information on your slides, first of all, you need to have a title on every slide to help the audience identify where they are in your speech. And then if you have additional content text, just put it in bullet points. And I mean very short phrases or just keywords that they can follow along while you're giving all of the good detail. Pictures are always a wonderful thing to include in a visual aid because it shows the audience what you're talking about. And so if you're trying to demonstrate something complex or bring to mind an image that you want them to see, just put a picture of it up on your PowerPoint slides, and it really helps your audience understand better what you're talking about. So keep it very simple. Keep your design clean, professional. It should not be very, very busy. The background should be consistent. Everything should match from slide to slide in terms of background and font and color. And so you want to make sure that everything is consistent and clean in design. And then the third thing that you want to think about when we're discussing visual aids is how to use them effectively. A visual aid is not a set of notes. You have note cards for your set of notes. Don't turn and read from your PowerPoint. That's not what it's for. And if you find yourself using it as a crutch, you need to make sure that you're standing beside it and facing your audience, and that you have note cards that you can refer to. Don't give in to the temptation of turning and looking back at the slideshow that's beside you. Don't do that, because it breaks that great connection you have with the audience. It inhibits your eye contact, and it just gives the overall sense that you're not really prepared and you're having to rely on your visual aid as a crutch. And so it's fine to glance at your slides when you change the slide just to make sure you're on the right slide, but don't spend a lot of time looking back at them. So keep the content very simple. Have a consistent, professional, clean-looking design to it, and then use your visual aid effectively so it doesn't overpower or take away from your speech. Those are a few tips, but you'll find many more in this week's module about creating effective visual aids.